Shalom, everybody. Good morning. I pray all is well with everybody. I just wanted to make a quick video. Had some things on my mind. I'm actually down at my sister's house visiting, while they're down in Texas. So yeah, good stuff going on. Just got an apartment. Moving in probably Saturday. So things are going good. Very blessed. Anyway, if y'all are dealing with problems, I hope you're not. I hope you're experiencing the Father's blessings. I hope you can perceive a true blessing, a small, simple blessing. I hope the Father gives you the ability to perceive that. It is hard, especially in this world, especially in all the hubbub, you want to call it, or of life. You know what I mean? What society wants you to be, I suppose. A lot of people feel less than and don't feel good enough because society wants you to be this way or that way, and then when people don't match those expectations, you in your life, though you may have a house or a car or a good job or good family, you within yourself won't feel spiritually fulfilled. And it's very easy to say, well, go to church, Jesus, go to church, he can save you, go to church. Very easy to say that. Some people, it's not that easy. Some people need a more in-depth teaching, things of that nature. It's good to go. KJV, the Christian church, they've done a lot of good things throughout the years. They changed a lot of lives, gave a lot of people purpose, things of that nature. So where does salvation come from? Salvation comes from what people today call the Jews, the Yahudim, the Father's chosen people. So salvation comes from the Jews only, and only the Jews, right? And this ain't a video of me trying to persuade anybody to do this or do that. There's different strokes for different folks, and to get to the ultimate goal of salvation, of deliverance from sins. And now when I say these things, there are some Christians that, okay, so Yahusha, right, or Yahuwah as a transliteration for I am, I was, I will be. That's the Father. Yahusha is I am your deliverer. So Yahusha's in the Father. The Yahusha and Yahuwah are one, of course. Okay, so there's a lot of discrepancy, and it's it's not. It can only be a problem, right? If somebody comes into the church and is grown up in the church and is getting told, well, the Jews say this and the Jews say that and it's bad, and the Muslims say this and the Muslims say that and it's bad. So, but it's one thing to hear that other people say that. It's one thing to go out and start preaching that, say they're wrong, they're this, they're that, they're this. You see what I'm saying? It causes problems, and that's a big problem with the Christian church and the Muslim church, and it gets the brass tacks of it all. You can sit there and say, oh, it's money, they want money, Iran wants money from us, and blah, 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 and the Jews and the Christian, blah, blah, blah. The brass tacks of it is the faith. Y'all are, I don't want to say anyone's ignorant, but the reason the arguments and stuff start, and the Messiah says, Yahusha says, do not worry about these things, don't fret about these things. I'm just relaying the mess. I'm being a messenger because I'm trying to show the discrepancy between the Americanized Roman Greco-Christian church and the Semonite Muslims. The discrepancy. The first one is, and I'm going to say the first discrepancy is the name Allah. Okay, Allah comes from Elohim. Elohim is Judean Hebrew, which is Paleo Hebrew. Elohim is how you say mighty one, or the mighty one, or God, how Greeks say God. Okay, so when a Muslim says Allah, Christians are automatically going to be like, because you got to think, a lot of people aren't scholared in this, aren't scholared in Judean Hebrew. A lot of people aren't scholared in where their faith actually comes from. And a Muslim and a Christian, their faith comes from who? The Yahudim, the Jews. Okay, the Messiah Yahusha, who the Greeks called Jesus, was a Paleo Hebrew speaking man. He was. He wrote in Paleo. He read in Paleo Hebrew. The scrolls he read, the Isaiah scrolls he read, written in Paleo Hebrew. The Greek language didn't change the name. Okay, so we get to the Greek. So anyway, my point is, I'm not trying to go back and forth because it's silly to argue about this stuff. My point is, don't judge anybody for getting to salvation a different route, because that oppresses people. And I'm going to sit here and say a lot of Christians do that with Muslims and Jews. They oppress people in the head, and they don't think it's a bad. Well, why is he the judgment? That so it starts in the heart, right? Judging. So you might come to a point in life where you say something wrong or say something disrespectful or to a Muslim or to a Christian, or to a Muslim, to a Jew, because of your ignorance. You don't know. Muslims do the same thing. Jews, we all do the same thing. Everybody does the same thing. Christians, Muslims, and Jews, okay? It's like Jerusalem. Think of Jerusalem, the city now. As soon as you think Jerusalem, what do you think? A bunch of Jews? No, there's Christians, there's Jews, and then there's Mormons, or excuse me, Muslims. So again, the word Allah, or you worship Allah. Christians, when they hear Allah, they say all bad. They think bad in their head. Okay, well, Allah comes from Elohim, which is a Paleo-Hebrew word for the mighty one, or mighty one, something like that. Okay, so then the Christians like to say, well, you guys just use words. Doesn't make any sense. Okay, so Yahusha, which is I am your deliverer, Yahusha is a translation for if you were to look at the word Yahusha in Paleo-Hebrew written from left to right, you would see it. Or from right to left, I'm sorry. You would see the name. You wouldn't be able to, what is this word? You wouldn't be able to enunciate it. An English-speaking person or a Spanish-speaking person or a Greek-speaking person. You wouldn't be able to translate it, right? And again, in 1 Timothy, it says, don't argue about silly. It's silly and foolish to argue about words and dates and times and things like that. But I'm just showing you. So the Christians believe that the Jews will have a word for the Messiah, like salvation, like we worship a word, right? Or deliverance, or we worship a word. Okay, well, that word was flesh. You understand that the Yahusha, which is I am your deliverer in Paleo-Hebrew, was a man. See, the man with flesh, skin, bones, stuff like that. This man walked the earth. So later on in life, the Greeks, it comes from ESV, the name Jesus, to the word Jesus. The word Jesus comes from ESV, which is a Latin translation to some form of Hebrew, and it gets lost in translation. The issue with it is, it's not the name itself that's the issue, the name change. The issue is it lost its meaning. When you say Jesus now, to a lot of people, it can become benign, and to people like me, it became benign and meant nothing to me, and that showed by my fruits. My fruits started changing after I learned what the Messiah's Paleo-Hebrew name was, and his Paleo-Hebrew name was Yahusha HaMashiach, which is I am your deliverer, the Messiah. Call it a word or whatever you want to call it, but call it a word, salvation, deliverance, whatever. That man's name was Yahusha HaMashiach, recorded in the Dead Sea Scrolls. You can go on Torah Institute and read this stuff for yourself. Elohim, it's not Elohim. It is in Aramaic Hebrew, it's Elohim. But in Paleo Hebrew, it's Elohim. So you can see now in today's world, the Christians and the Muslims, how they fight over a word. Allah. No, well, listen. First off, you Christians and you Christians and you Muslims, this is Judaism right here. From us came Christian and Muslims, okay? And I say us because everybody in this whole world, I don't care what race, creed, religion you are, everybody, and I say us, and I'm talking to everybody in this world, we all have a covenant with the Father, and it's the 10 Commandments. There is not one religion, not one person you can read those 10 Commandments and say, okay, yes, I agree with this. Even a secularist can read those 10 Commandments and say, okay, well, yeah, I agree with this stuff. It's good stuff. That is the covenant for every human being that is born in this world. I don't care if you're white, Greek, Jew, Syrian. I don't care. Every person in this world's covenant, or the covenant with the Father, is the 10 Commandments. You go read Deuteronomy, go read it. But then the Christians confuse people. They say, well, we're dead to the dead. We're dead to the covenant. How are we dead to that covenant? And you say the Abram covenant with the circumcision and stuff, but we're not dead to the 10 Commandments. And that's every person. That's why I say us. That's every person in this world. The Father's covenant with this human being, this flesh and bone, this sinner, this piece, right here standing in front of you, is the 10 Commandments. Okay, now back to the word thing. So I could sit here and say that Jesus is just a word. But I know as a child, Jesus was not just a word. It was a man. So now what does Jesus mean? What did Jesus do? Okay, so what helped me was Yahusha. You could say, oh, that's a word. Yahusha was the man's name. Hebrew and tribal people, their names mean something. Their names define them. So to write it off and just say, oh, that's a word you worship, or deliverance or salvation, they do. It's erroneous to do that. And that just comes with oppression. So you're saying the original Dead Sea Scrolls, Yahusha, and what he did, and what his name means, his name comes into me, comes into a human being, and that's what I become. That's what I do. That's how I live my life. How is that wrong to do? Or how is that wrong to preach? Or how is that wrong to teach or tell somebody? The original Judean Hebrew form of your New Testament. Not saying Jesus is wrong or nothing. It's just a translation. But the name Yahusha has no translation. The name Yahuwah, these are both translations I could write down. Yahuwah and Yahusha. I could write it in the English speak. I could write it where you could say it in English. That's what a alliteration is. They don't have no translations. But what I teach and what I tell people is that they're not wrong. The people on stage, the people preaching, the people in the synagogue, they're not wrong what they're doing. It's just you as an individual where you want to start seeing fruit, and how my life went up to this point, and what I needed to do, and what I needed to think, and what I needed to pray about. You know, what the Messiah always do. He would fight. He would question authority. No, however way you want to look at that, and whichever version, whichever way you want it gets, you know, presented on big film and stuff like that. But he stuck up to people that oppressed people. He stuck up to hypocrites. He stuck up to people like that. See what I'm saying? And not necessarily somebody that is outright in public always oppressing, saying you're wrong, you're wrong. No, people that are quietly oppressing people. These are the people that they need, that me, myself, in my kingdom, in the kingdom of the Father, needed to question, I say, or not question, but to, I beg to differ with them, because I needed peace within myself, and that's what the Father promises, is peace, abundant life, things of that nature. A renewed mind. But then on a secular level, people say, well, how do you renew your mind? Well, you get off the cigarettes, you get off the alcohol, you know, you get off the social media, you get off the, you know, you get off the weed, you get off the meth, you get off these things, and then you come to Jesus and you become a good, you know, great person. It's not that simple. It's really not that simple. And why people think it's that simple is because the name over the years lost its meaning. There's no meaning in Jesus. There's no meaning. I'm saying in the word, the name Jesus, there is no meaning. It's supposed to mean, I am your deliverer. It's supposed to mean this. It doesn't mean that. I'm not saying it doesn't change lives or it doesn't do this. But the oppression, I just went to a sermon the other day at Hope City Church. And it was a sermon over at 1 Thessalonians. And very good church, very good people, reference the Greek and the Latin a lot. Hardly reference Paleo-Hebrew, but that's okay. Or Hebrew in any form or fashion. That's okay. Some churches do, some churches don't. But the sermon was about how the Gentiles used to put on the gravestones. I am not, I wasn't, and I don't care. That's kind of like blasphemy towards the YHWH, the Tetragrammaton, because the Tetragrammaton, Yahuwah, that's how you pronounce it. Aramaic, they pronounce it Yahweh. But in Paleo-Hebrew, you pronounce it Yahuwah. Yahuwah means I am, I was, I will be. You know, and you get to the point. So I kind of felt like, I don't know if it was the congregation showing like how the Gentiles used to mock the name, or is it you guys mocking the name? And yeah, so it kind of confused me. Like, why not show what the real name is? If, you know, your faith comes from this Judean Paleo-Hebrew script, you hardly reference it. You hardly reference any Hebrew for that matter. This ain't just the church I attend. This is a lot of churches. Very good people, very loving people. You can see their fruits, their spirits, kind, kindred. They help people with the donations, things of that nature. But to, again, shun and, you know, people like myself, which I've been shunned. I've been, you know, I've been told I was stupid or you're an idiot for my faith, which is crazy because my faith is the original Judean, again, Paleo-Hebrew words that were written, the Old New Testament, the scripts of Isaiah, the scripts of Zechariah, the scripts of Zephaniah, the scripts of Obadiah, the scripts of, you know, all these people were written in Paleo-Hebrew except the book of Luke. And a lot of today's churches love Luke. Luke was good because Luke is Greek, so Greek is more relatable in American society today. There are some people that cannot relate to Hellenized Roman Greco folks. And you Hellenized Roman Greco folks that go to seminary, I praise you. And you guys, I don't praise you, but it's good. It's good. You got a life. You got purpose. You go out and teach. It's good stuff. But your judgment behind closed doors of these people oppress them. And it's very, very, very sad to see that you internally oppress the original faith. You blaspheme the original faith. You don't say the original name. You don't say the original name of the Messiah. You don't say the original name of the Father. These things, because it loses meaning. I can sit there and say as a kid, oh, I worship a man that died or over 1,000 years ago. Cool. I could not do that myself. I couldn't and go and live a life. I couldn't do that. I need to find purpose within myself. How do I find? Oh, wait a second. I become Jesus. I'm supposed to be Jesus. Not that Jesus was another man. No, that's what Christianity confused me on. And listen, I'm talking about finding purpose. My purpose is probably the most humble purpose I can go through anything in life and find purpose and get satisfaction out of it. I don't do that merely. I want others to experience that too, because people like me, there are people out in this world. Listen, you have dreams, goals, aspirations, but you're going to have to get in where you fit in society eventually. So that la la land, Jesus, looking up Peter and John like, yeah, yo, get to work. This is what the teaching that I was presented, what is the original teaching of Yahushua HaMashiach, which the Greeks call Jesus. And the same story, so I'm not going to say your story is the same as, no, your story comes from Yahushua HaMashiach. You just changed the name to Jesus. The scholars, the people, whoever are doing it. So again, you come here, it's the Ten Commandments, you learn the Ten Commandments, you learn, you study the Word, you become the Word, okay? You don't shun off and you don't say, well, Christianity's bad and Jews are stupid because they have a word. No, you don't do this. You sit there and you read. I'll open up Deuteronomy for you and I'll sit in front of you and I'll read it with you and I'll teach you. We won't have to be seminary or, well, what was the marketplace like back then? Josephus can take care of that. But me and you, we're going to sit down and we're going to study the Old Testament. We're going to study the 10 Commandments, the 10-day commandment challenge, like what I call it. And we're going to sit there and what's the first commandment mean to you? I'm not trying to convince you anything. I'm not going to do that. The silent judgment, the silent oppression is still oppression. I pray the people that identify as Christians can see that and correct it. The silent oppression. Because you're getting to forgiveness of sins, okay? The Yahudim, of course, they need their sins forgiven. They had their own people preach. And then that's another thing. Yahushua was a Hebraic Jew. What you call Jews today, was Hebraic Jew, full on. Okay, he spoke in tongues. The disciples spoke in tongues. Of course, people travel, people learn languages, things of that nature. But I think the disconnect is people that care about society in America and how people are viewed in the house and the picket fence and the money and the degree. That's blinding a lot of people. And I'm going to straight up, that's blinding a lot of people. Because you look at somebody like me that doesn't come from spoon-fed, things of that nature, but still, I deserve faith. Because that's the Father's covenant with people. People like me that don't silently oppress and silently judge people and silently say this and silently say it's stupid. I'm behind my closed doors and I don't judge in my head. If I see blasphemy, I'm probably going to say something about it. But I don't sit there in my head on my bed and say Jews, or Christian, or Muslims, There are individuals that do that, and it's irritating. Because one, it's out of ignorance and stupidity. You have no idea where your faith comes from. Seminary cannot teach you that. Sorry, I'm getting passionate about this because you people look at us like we're stupid or retarded or something. We're studying the word, what we're supposed to be doing. But because you think we worship a word, we're retarded. I think you worship a word. Jesus is a word to me. Means nothing to me. So Yahusha is a word to you, but Yahusha was a man, so I do the same thing you do. You understand what I'm saying? Trying to get on it. So you read original scripts, the Dead Sea Scrolls, things of that nature. His name is Yahusha. Yahusha spoke in parables. Of course, all written in Hebrew. And then I had a Christian one time say, well, if you're going to say the Hebrew names, you might as well speak Hebrew all the time. See, just the disconnect and the hatred for Hebrews and Jews in some form or fashion is crazy to me. But I'll let you go with that. I pray the Father bestows blessings. Sometimes people need a wake up. You think you're standing firm, be careful. So sometimes people need a wake up, and I pray all well for your family. I pray all well for everybody. In Yahusha's name, I pray. Amen. Thank you.